Jocelyn. Welcome to Breaking Barriers. Thanks for tuning in. This is your Wednesday lunch hour show here on KXVS, the voice of Stockton. Breaking Barriers is part of the Spotlight on the Arts series, which also includes Behind the Art Scene with Joy Neese and Yellow Dot Music with David Molina. Memberships. Okay, so we're trying to raise funds for an FM tower. And if you want more information on that, you can go on KXVS.org. And there's different membership tiers. You can just follow the links and get the information there on membership tiers. Today's guests are Cory Hunt. He's got a project with Magic Wheelchair. And we've got Mike Hoover out there too, but he's going to be coming in about 20 minutes after I talk to Cory here for a little bit. Thank you for stopping by.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, thank you. It's been a minute.
It has been a minute.
So Cory has always been involved with fabricating different props and different background stuff for, well, he was with Nightmare Playgrounds, right? So tell us a little bit about Nightmare Playgrounds and a little bit about that, and then we can talk about Preston Castle and what you're doing there.
Nightmare Playgrounds is a group of people, and we all come from like different backgrounds. Excuse me. Some people have some really good computer tech stuff. Some people are really good fabricators, painters. And we've started doing some stuff that's more charity based. We've done haunted houses like home haunts and stuff
miss
like
that.
that.
I do.
That was a good time.
Are we going to do that again?
Probably not. Not a home haunt.
No.
I've gotten involved with Preston Castle now, which is in Ione, and they've got this big, beautiful historic building that we do a haunted house at, and it raises money to restore the place because it's a historical building built in 1894, state's first juvenile detention facility. And they voluntold me that I was the artistic creative director.
Nice.
So I've been doing that for the past few years, and some of my crew from the old Nightmare Playgrounds has come up there and helped out.
Actually, I remember one year that I was up there and we were part of the staff, the scare staff. I ended up behind like a closet and really dark little corner too, right up the stairs, just to scare people. But yeah, if any of you haven't visited Preston Castle in Ione or Ione, you ought to check it out. It's I think the last time I was there was not just earlier this year. I took my brother there. It was his first time, and it was pretty awesome. Just recently, you guys had like a tombstone workshop also, right?
Right.
And it was the same time as the Sinister Creature Con here at the Stockton Arena, so I wasn't able to go, but how's that like? Did you love it? I just love doing all that kind of stuff. I remember learning how to do masks with you. I remember learning how to do the teeth.
Yeah, the prosthetic
teeth with you.
Fangs and full grills that are like nasty monster zombie teeth.
Yeah. So we're just kind of going over a little bit of his background because he's always been involved in like stage setup and even local high school theater stuff.
Western Ranch High School, I gave them a bunch of the stuff that I had from when I ran my haunted house. And so they have all that. And they've been raising money with their haunted house for their trips to Ashland, Oregon and stuff through their drama and literary department or literature department.
Nice. So now we're kind of getting into Magic Wheelchair. I know that that's something that you've been working on. You said for about a year now, right? A little bit?
I got in contact with them about a year ago, and I wasn't able to do the builds because of the commitments that I had. But this year they contacted me. Ryan from the organization contacted me and asked me if I could do a Justice League theme build. Excuse me. And I got tasked with Supergirl's wheelchair, and that was a lot of fun.
Supergirl. So you guys are matched up based on, is it random? Is it somebody you choose, a particular superhero that you choose?
It's typically location based, but because they had so many builds going, because we were going to premiere it at San Diego Comic-Con, which is down south, and getting the entire costume plus a kid plus family plus all their needs and everything like that down to LA is harder than having a kid who's based there. So I was doing a build for a little girl named Zoe who's on Huntington Beach, and she is adorable. And so I got matched up with her to do the Supergirl wheelchair. Of the wheelchairs that we built, the costumes that we built, there was a Supergirl, there was an Aquagirl, a Wonder Woman, a Batman, a Cyborg. I hope I'm not forgetting any.
I know, I'm trying to bring it up on my computer, and my computer decided to just crash.
And they were all really, really cool. Flash he's a kid who does serious, like, he goes to skate parks in his wheelchair and does like stunts.
Wow.
So I mean, it was a good match for him.
Yeah.
And a guy named Lior, he did the Flash chair, and it was rad. And like all the builders who did this are amazing. Like me sitting alongside them was really kind of scary because this is my first build.
Sure.
And these guys are serious pros. And they do amazing work. And it's not a competition, but you really want to bring your A game because it's San Diego Comic-Con.
Sure.
So
I saw there was one that was like was it Aquaman?
Aqua Girl.
Aqua Girl. Holy moly, the seahorses.
Fiberglass seahorses, and their heads turned with, and she turns the reins. And she was in a full-on shell like chariot.
Dude, that's amazing.
With dolphins along the side of it. I mean, I'm looking at these other chairs, and the Batman chair launches these little Nerf darts and has a GPS system in it, like a legit GPS system.
That's amazing.
So
I'm going to play this video here. I don't think we're not going to have audio. Oh, that's not the one I wanted. There was another one where it actually shows them.
And I also did it out of fabric. I used a bunch of really cool tools.
Yeah.
I made like sculpted crystals like the old Superman movie and cast those in resin so that she could have clear crystals and green crystals like the Christopher Reeve movie.
There she is.
Yeah.
That's the one.
And all those crystals light up, and they're the light.
Those are our superheroes. Really.
That's Cyborg.
That one's pretty amazing too. Now, you were telling me that some of these people are, different locations, different spots all throughout, I don't know, the United States, maybe even eventually, How were you able to gather all the materials and be able to fit everything?
Okay, so
you met with them.
Yeah. Well, no, actually, I never met the family or the
prior
wheelchair
to
the reveal,
gosh.
so it was
amazing.
little stressful.
Yeah.
The wheelchair company, Key Mobility, who built her wheelchair, was able to get me some of the specs that they had, but they build each wheelchair individually. So they differ from kid to kid, depending on what the kid's needs are. So the family, Chelsea, Zoe's mom, was able to send me measurements, and we did like a live video kind of thing, so I could make sure I was getting the exact right measurements for the wheelbase, for where the structure of the wheelchair was, the framing and everything like that. And I actually had to rig a PVC pipe system that had telescoping and swiveling PVC joints so that I could adjust it as needed when I got down there in case the measurements were off. Because if I built it like fixed structure and it turns out that we had gotten something off, then there's no way I could have attached it without making it not of a good attachment.
Sure.
And the biggest thing is because Zoe has a brittle bone condition, osteogenesis imperfecta, I think is what it's called. And so I had to make sure that this wheelchair didn't hurt her. She breaks easy.
Sure.
So if there was anything in there that was going to cause her harm, that's completely...
So there's so many factors that you had to consider too. So just being able to make it comfortable for Zoe as well. But it's good that you're communicating with her parents, making sure that all the measurements are nice.
Right.
It was mostly fiberglass. Got the crystals.
Oh no
fiberglass. No, these are
insulation foam.
Insulation foam. Okay, that's right.
Yeah.
Okay, and then, as you can see, this was during the unveiling. Was it at Comic-Con?
Yeah.
And so that's the one I was telling you about, the Aqua Girl.
Right.
And, yeah, it's just amazing. How long did it take for you to put together Zoe's accessories?
This was a project I believed very strongly in, but it came at a time when I did not have a lot of time. We were doing the Tombstone class that we were talking about.
Yes.
Some really, really awesome people from Portland called Davis Graveyard. They do a home display haunt up there. They came down and they were actually teaching us how to do really high quality tombstones.
I really wanted to go to that too.
Their tombstones got bought by the Playboy Mansion for their Halloween party.
Oh wow!
So if that tells you like the quality that they do, it's like Hollywood level.
Wow.
They were coming down, and I was involved in that because I'm one of the people at Preston Castle, and I had to be involved with that and getting all this stuff set up and everything. So that was like a weekend or two that was gone. Plus, I was doing a wedding one weekend or during part of it. So I actually only had 3 weekends to do the build.
That is pretty awesome.
So 2 with crew. So the Nightmare Playgrounds folks showed up, and we hammered that thing.
Nice.
It was 12-hour days, 110-degree heat.
Oh, wow.
And we're shredding that pink insulation foam on our router, so you get that pink dust everywhere. It looked like shredded unicorns everywhere.
Well, every time we did some sort of production in your garage, which is actually pretty awesome, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You know, we'd always find different materials and create something else with it, probably recycle and do all kinds of other things.
Found objects are best.
I remember Organic. What did we do with Organic?
He's still around.
Is
I
he?
just haven't brought him out.
He was our mascot.
He was our mascot. Yeah.
Yeah. So you were telling me about a particular custom handle also. Is that one right there? Oh, no, wait. No, that's not the one. Was it?
Yeah, if it had the Superman logo on it, it was. The company donated a ergonomic handle that would make it easier for us to pilot the chair. You can see it. It's a little hook thing there.
There it is.
She had a traditional stroller handle that came off the back of it. And it could have worked, but I was really concerned about the comfort of the parents and being able to navigate this thing. Comic-Con has, I'm not kidding you, probably more people than you ever want to be around at one time, but they're all really nice people. It's just a massive crush of people. And anytime you have that kind of a crowd, navigating through the crowd, especially with a wheelchair or a stroller. If you've ever been at Disneyland and watched parents with strollers.
Yeah, I had a double stroller at one point, and it was long, and people won't.
It's hard to get through, and people are small, so they can dodge places, but wheelchairs are not. So, and especially since I was adding girth to this thing, and I was adding length to this thing, and they couldn't walk behind it like traditionally because I'd blown that cape out the back. Yeah. So I had to. Luckily, the wheelchair company was very gracious in their donation of that handle to Zoe.
I think I have some questions coming in because I remember seeing some of them, but let me just double check, okay? Usually just comes in on my direct email or direct mail. But, oops.
So if you're interested in the Magic Wheelchair stuff, I highly recommend that you go to their website, magicwheelchair.org. You can sign up if you know a kiddo who wants a costume and has a request. You can sign them up there. If you're a person who can build and can do cool fabrication or wants to learn from people who know how to do it, you can sign up there. We're trying to do a lot of costumes this year. I think last year he was saying he did 25 or 26. I can't remember what the exact number was. He has this goal, and it's a very lofty and I want to achieve it goal of 75 this year. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah. We've already started talking about the next one. So
let me know if you need any help. Remember, I'm just right around the corner, so
will definitely let you know.
Even if it's like 2 a.m., seriously.
I'm usually up then.
Okay, so we've got It's an Awesome Thing. This is from Richie, that you do bringing a smile to a child's face. What was the first thing you made? I think this was probably for Magic Wheelchair. This was the first thing.
This was the first thing I did.
And what got you into making this for children? Yeah, how did you find out about Magic Wheelchair? Oh.
So there's this convention up in Portland, Oregon called the West Coast Haunters Convention. And back when I was doing like the small little haunty stuff out of my house and everything, I didn't really realize that I was not unique, that there's a whole culture of people who like to scare the crap out of people for fun and profit. So I got involved with some conventions, and then the West Coast Haunters Convention, they benefit charities for deaf and autistic kids. Mm-hmm. And they are run by a guy who works at the Oregon School for the Deaf, Ed Roberts. Okay. And he's really cool and didn't have the money because they're a deaf school to send his kids to conventions. Okay. So he brought the convention to them so that he could train them, because they do a haunted house at their school, which raises money for the school.
Awesome.
And these kids are crazy creepy. They are amazing. They have some serious skills. It's really impressive to watch.
And every time you thought you scared everyone as a carver.
Yeah.
Carver fella.
Yeah. So Ryan was up there at a convention, met him, saw this thing, and was blown away. Like, you live in your bubbles. Everybody lives in their bubbles. Yeah. And until you see somebody else's bubble, you don't really get to know what they're going through. And seeing this kid on this awesome costume that I'm like, I want one.
Right.
But
Speaking of, the next question was, do you ever dress up as a superhero?
do I? No, I don't dress up as a superhero.
Yes, you do.
No.
You do every day.
Well, I dress up as a person who really cares about other people.
Yes.
So that's how I got in contact with Ryan, was at West Coast. It was really cool. And it's inspiring because you see this kid, like it's when adults put on costumes and they're suddenly transformed into something different. They behave differently. You throw a mask on somebody and you watch it's the whole shamanistic stuff, right?
Definitely.
You put on the anima mask and
definitely.
You become the jaguar or you become the creature. Well, you put this kid who's differently abled and has challenges in a superhero costume. There's no stopping them. They've already overcome so many more challenges than I've ever overcome. And so
this is like second nature for them. Is it just a grace for them to just,
and they get to,
so neat.
And everyone gets to see them, right? Instead of seeing the wheelchair anymore. It's just completely cowled.
Let me see.
I don't even know if that's the right word.
Let's see what Richie always has. Oh. Saw the article of you in the newspaper and just want to say that you are truly an amazing person.
Thank you.
You help people out, but you also help the children on your own time to bring smiles to their faces. Thank you for all you do, and you are truly a superhero.
Thank you.
Sweet. Thank you. That was nice. Thank you, Richie.
I'm a big believer in giving back. I'm a big believer in doing the things that make other people's days better. Try to be, what's the saying I got on my whiteboard now? Be the person you want to meet.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. So, one last time before you take off, because I have to shoo you out of here, unfortunately, even though I want you to hang out with me for a longer time. But
we'll do this
we need to catch up.
You
know what? We can probably do one for closer to Halloween, too.
Okay, cool.
That'd be cool.
Oh, I got to plug Preston Castle.
Oh, yeah,
if
definitely.
If you guys want to come to the cool haunted house at Preston Castle in Ione, you need to buy tickets now. PrestonCastleHaunt.com. We sell out. And I'm not kidding. We sell out. We cannot let more people in. We have one line, one attraction. We aren't like other haunted houses that have 5 attractions and 5 lines and can do different paths and stuff. We have one, and so we have to limit the numbers that we put in there. If you don't like haunted houses because you're scared, then do a historical tour up there. They do them on Saturdays. We also do wine tasting events. They do a movie night, which also sold out, right?
Yes, it did. And a wine tasting event also. Another thing they do, too, for photographers out there is they have they schedule time for photographers.
Days. Yeah. You can sign up, you buy a ticket, and they have models and stuff who show up, too. So you can actually photograph models in this really creepy, beautiful
it's
building.
already there, and the textures on the walls, just the building itself is pretty amazing, and it's definitely a photo spot
and
for
it's
building your portfolio.
It's an attraction for paranormal investigators because there's a lot of activity. I have yet to experience any.
Right. I know. I've been there like a few times, but
there are people who get good results there and some really cool stuff. And I'm like, that does sound a lot like somebody talking to you. So it's a really cool place. I highly suggest you check it out. And also check out magicwheelchair.org. Check out
magicwheelchair.org. They can, I think they have the Facebook page as well. So check that out. And we're going to have to say goodbye to Cory for now. And I'm going to go ahead and bring in my next guest, Mike Hoover. He's a local artist and he works with all different kinds of mediums. So I'm looking forward to chatting with him and catching up as well. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Breaking Barriers. This is Jocelyn. I am your host for the lunch hour on Wednesdays. And I'm back with my second guest for the day. We had Cory initially, and now we've got Mike Hoover. He's one of our local artists here who's been involved with a lot of the exhibits. He's got his art displayed at the Lodi Library and Mexican Heritage Center, the Goodwin Gallery, even as far up as the Guerneville Gallery, Healdsburg, and the San Joaquin County Fairgrounds most recently, right? Earlier this year? Yeah, that was for Art Against Violence, which is where I actually initially met him when I was working on Art Against Violence and setting up the displays at the San Joaquin County Fairgrounds. Good to have you here today,
Thank
Mike.
you.
Thank you so much for stopping by the station. So Mike's got this piece here, which he was actually on the record earlier this year. It's one of my favorite pieces, actually. Not only do I like safety pins, but this one's pretty awesome. It's called We Are Them. And
Actually, it's called Safe.
oh, it's called Safe.
Yeah.
Okay. That's even more intriguing. So tell us a little bit about this piece here.
Well, the notion of using safety pins as a way to signal people, and that it's safe to talk to them. I think that started after the Brexit business in England. There was a lot of anti-immigrant stuff going on in England at the time, and people started wearing safety pins on their lapels, I believe, to say it's okay to talk to me. It's okay to ask me where the train station is. I'm not going to have you deported.
Right. I noticed you had mentioned something about it. You particularly put this in the skin tones, different tones.
Yeah, the background here is painted in encaustic, and I tried to get a spectrum of skin tones in that. And then the rest of it is We Are Them in safety pins.
Yeah. This was the one that was actually this. Did you have any others displayed during the Art Against Violence exhibit earlier this year?
This,
or was
not
it
this last one. The year before.
Oh, the year
several.
before, 2016. Okay. Okay. So, and as you can see, that's kind of scrolling through the bottom right of the screen here. I'm going to go ahead and put this down. Okay. The bottom right of the screen here. I pulled these images off of his Facebook page, and what I find really intriguing about Mike is he's always got a new medium that he's working on or using. You know, I was at his studio the other day, and he showed me some of his latest Suiseki projects.
Suiseki.
Yeah, he's got that, and he's worked with encaustic and acrylic. And what other materials have you worked with?
Oh, golly. It's like I'll just try whatever comes to mind and see if it fits what I want to do.
Yeah.
And the way things have gone, I tend to work mostly in encaustic and acrylic. Yeah.
You showed me this one technique also when we were at your studio where you had all these different materials. You put them all in one cup.
Oh, yeah.
And then you set it upside down, and it just came up with all these really cool
Well, this is
streaks.
To me, it's a new technique with acrylic, and it's called the acrylic pour. And it seems to be getting more and more popular now.
Yeah,
and I
I've
don't
actually
really know how long
seen a
it
lot of it online, but
Yeah.
that was the first time I've actually seen it done live.
It uses you start with the paint, and then you add a hardware store product that house painters use to get rid of the brush strokes, and then you add Elmer's glue all to it, and then you add WD-40 to it.
And you get this amazing combination. It's almost like when it comes out, it reminds me very much of like how oils kind of separate with the food coloring when you have that whole thing in it, but it's all on paper and it dries.
You mix the different paints. Well, you pour the different paints into a pouring cup, and you don't mix them, so they stay separated out. And it's an unusual consistency. The paint's kind of liquidy, and yet it has a thickness to it because of the glue, and it stays separate. I mean, you pour it on the support, and then the WD-40 causes cells, they're called, to
That's what
emerge
it
out of
is. Those little, the little cells, which are completely, depending on the colors that you use, it contrasts really well.
One of the things I like about that is the notion of controlled accidents.
Right. That's like peaceful chaos.
Yeah, peaceful chaos. It's like, I think, controlled accidents, you see that term sometimes with ceramics, the glazing of ceramics. They don't really know what's going to happen.
What's going to happen? Oh, yeah.
But you have some control over it, but you don't really know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I've done that before where I thought, I'm going to make this a shiny glaze, but then it came up with some bubbles, and it was a really neat texture. I'm a big texture person, so I think that's why I find Mike's stuff really intriguing. There's always some sort of texture. Like that one's got the little apple on the bottom. Who'd have thought?
Apple, yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing that. And
most of these that are being shown, I think, are encaustic pieces.
Okay.
And you can paint it on and then melt it with a hot air gun, and so it looks like enamel. It'll take a shine like enamel, but you can paint it on and leave it in this rough impasto texture. And you can add more thickness to it with a palette knife. You can let it partially dry, and then add it to the support with a palette knife, and get some pretty good, interesting.
So,
textures.
The next few days is going to be like over 100-something degrees.
Yeah.
So all those things you got to be real careful with. I remember transporting one of your pieces, and I thought, and it was a hot day. It was a warm day, and I thought, oh man, I hope this doesn't.
I know. The thing about encaustic. One of the things about encaustics in paint is that they're pretty much impervious to the atmosphere. The stuff that the Greeks did 2,000 years ago, some of the stuff that still survives, looks like it was done this morning. It really does. It's just incredible. But if it gets over 140 degrees, it'll get tacky and pick up dust. And if it gets any harder than that, it'll probably just be a puddle.
Ooh.
That'll be the end of your painting.
Well, actually, that'd be kind of a different new thing. Just slap it on a board and then put it outside and let it melt all on its own. That'd be awesome, actually.
Yeah, I've done things like that with paintings. Paintings I didn't particularly like. I put outside in my garden, and
it just naturally.
The next year,
you've got
look at that.
Yeah, little bugs stuck to it. Hey, that's part of the whole thing. Yeah. Little pieces of grass or whatever.
One of the things you have to worry about with the temperature problem is if somebody buys a piece and they live in Kansas City and you have to fly it there.
Yeah, that's tough.
You have to make sure that the airplane hold isn't going to get over 100 and. So, it's
and that's kind of hard.
Stay and you have to
tell them to keep it refrigerated or something, or in a cooler spot. Yeah, so I saw those pieces, which is awesome. It's all over the studio. And then you also had the Suiseki pieces. You want to explain a little bit about what that's about?
Well,
Let's see. I don't have any here.
I don't have any Suiseki here to show you, but I think everyone likes attractive or colorful rocks.
There's
People
a
like
huge movement right now with rock collecting and painting.
Yeah, painting the rocks.
Right.
Well, the Suiseki discipline was borrowed by Japan from China. I think in the 1600s, and the Chinese were choosing attractive rocks and putting them outside, and often the rocks were said to embody some Confucianist principle, and the Japanese didn't particularly care for that. They took the idea. Oh, there's some
there's some really nice pieces here.
Stunning pieces online. You can see that that's like an island.
There's something soothing about it too. I notice it kind of goes hand in hand with bonsai.
Bonsai,
right?
Yeah. So bonsai's making a miniature scene using a tree, while Suiseki it makes a miniature scene using a stone. But the big thing about Suiseki is that the artist is not allowed to modify the rock, because you can cut it once. And the ones you're showing are cut.
They do look cut at the base.
A flat cut to make a base out of it. And the traditionalists won't even let you do that. And it's really difficult to make a base. It's too much.
That's what it is. It's like the art of trying to find a rock. That's part of the process right there.
That's right.
Like what you're telling me when I was at your studio, like here I am doing Suiseki.
Yeah. When you're doing Suiseki, you're walking around looking at the ground. That's right. And you have to, you find something that's just evocative to you. And in the tradition, in the Japanese tradition, there are several different categories. There are stones, for example, that have a lip that comes out, and those are called shelter stones. And there's stones that look like an old, maybe a little evoke an ancient, worn-down mountain in the distance, or maybe it'll evoke a ridge, or a sharp rock ridge, and so forth, and maybe it'll evoke a waterfall. There are pieces that have depressions in them, and you can put water in them and a little bit of milk, and it'll look like because otherwise it'll be invisible with the water. And the whole idea is to make it look like a lake, look like a little lake up in the mountains. Yeah,
right.
And you just have to find these things, and it's like gradually catching on as a discipline here in the United States. It's somewhat popular in Germany, I think. And still in in the Far East. California is one of the locations, international location to find suiseki. Suiseki incidentally means wet stone in Japanese, and I don't know if that really has anything to do with the actual suiseki pieces. But
you were telling me about also the
diaza, the base,
and how there's a particular way that has to be too.
When you see a stone with a wooden base, often the tradition is to put a berm or a lip just coming right up to the edge of the stone. That's one of these 600-year-old traditions. If you see that, then you can see you're working with someone who's actually a traditional suiseki master. Some of these pieces, I'm sure. There's one. See that? See the lip on it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's. And that's supposed to be wood, right?
Well, that's all wood. The base is wood.
See,
I make my own bases too. Yeah, they're and it's.
So you have to carve the shape. Into the shape of the rock, the stone.
Look at that piece that you're showing. See, that's just wonderful.
Yeah. These I'm finding these off of a website because Mike wasn't able to bring some of his pieces, but it's okay because he's probably next time he comes in he'll bring it. Right.
Actually, most of my best pieces have been sold. And you have to go out, you have to say, okay, I'm going to do suiseki, which means you pack your camping gear.
Oh, wow.
And you go up to the Eel River, and you plan on spending several days walking up and down the Eel River complex. That's the international site here in California. You can find stones with jade intrusions in there, and some of that's desirable and really nice. Also the Mojave Desert. People go down there and so forth.
You had stacks and stacks of book at your place, so I was like, wow. There's a lot to learn about something so simple, you know? Yeah.
Here in California and here in the United States, we're more loose in the tradition of suiseki. So I have a lot of pieces that are not suiseki, but they're stones that have doors in them or on and off switches.
Oh, I think I saw that. Let me see if I can find it.
Cut into the stone.
See, oh wait, you know what? I do have some of your.
Yeah, that's a piece of mine.
There you go.
See, there's that quartz intrusion on the left is like a waterfall.
That is. I was just going to say that. Okay, so you're lucky to find something.
You just have to find
that
it.
Have the right shape and have the base that's flat and.
Now the tree on the right is made with wire. I learned how to do that from. I went to a website for model train fans. And they make their own trees. Some of them do. So that's how I learned how to make trees with wire.
So you just recently started on
suiseki?
The suiseki, right?
Well, I've been doing it for 20 years or so.
Oh, wow, okay.
Before anybody else I knew that anybody else
around
knew
here.
about it. Yeah.
There's another waterfall type.
There's another waterfall.
That is really
See, that doesn't really work because you wouldn't see a natural waterfall like that. But that's close. This kind of demonstrates how hard it is to find a good suiseki piece. I decided that
it looks pretty awesome.
I decided that probably failed as a suiseki piece, so that's why I put it in with the stones. Now that piece down there is an example of all the different kinds of texture you can get with encaustic. So the sky is melted out and it looks like enamel. And
it's a little smoother.
Yeah, it's really smooth.
And then you've got the rock.
The sea is just the brush strokes, and then the water is brush strokes with the taps of the tip of the paint, and then the rocks are done with the palette knife.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Palette knife.
Let's see here.
And
the
then
other stuff you have.
And the other stuff is brass bars.
Oh, here's the one that you were telling me about. That.
So that's a rock with a lock.
It's more abstract, sort of.
There's something about
a rock with a lock.
A rock with a lock in it.
And a rock with a switch.
That's you can turn that one on.
Turn on that rock.
Yeah.
And then,
That's me. What am I doing? Oh, I think I'm working with encaustic there.
yeah, is that a heating element right
Yeah,
there? That's what it looks like. It's like a blue,
Yeah.
really hot.
Butane torch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
I did this one here.
Oh yeah, that I actually saw hanging on your wall.
So that's a piece called Muse, and it's a mixed media piece, and the background is currency. It's chopped up actual U.S. currency, and then around the face is a halo of gold. Well, that's just wax. And then I say that the eyes are made with precious stones, which are just agates.
Well, yeah.
So that's the money muse. That's the muse. Yeah.
So you can actually get real money.
You can buy.
It's no wonder why we're bankrupt. What the heck? You're just shredding up money for art?
Money for art. It's what the heck. I burned up a whole bunch of that stuff yesterday.
What? Well, that's neat, though. What did you use as the base for it? To create the shape and the form of the
face?
The face, yeah.
I used a styrofoam mask that I modified and covered with currency.
Okay. I know you've got some other interesting pieces here. Like I said, I'm a huge texture person, so it's like all of this stuff, especially the encaustic. Want me to go back up?
Go back up, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
See, I'm particularly fond of this one because I really like the way the classic...
the contrast.
Yeah, the stone in the background. Oh, that's from a photograph of the Smithsonian in Washington, D.C. That's it.
Oh,
and I did that in caustic. And then I just had this giant, I just wanted to do the image of a giant tomato in front of that. So it's called Classic Tomato. That's
so
my classic
when I look
tomato.
at art, I try and think in my mind, how would I incorporate that into a room? Here I am thinking, depending on the size, we can get like a red leather couch, and we have that right above it or to the side of it. You know, I'm like, it's perfect for that.
Our artists hate when people do that kind of stuff.
I know.
They say, "Oh,
I
look
know,
at that
that's
painting. Can you do that in blue? It'll max my count." Oh,
someone was telling me that too. Build a room around your art. Heck yeah, I would totally do that. Switch out all the furniture, everything. So, Mike, it's been a while since I've caught up with you, but I do remember, we were at the fairgrounds and we had some chats about a little bit of your background and stuff, and that you were in the military, and thank you for your service, absolutely.
Yeah.
But the first piece I saw from you was kind of like an abstract. It was very narrow. I think it had something it was kind of like this that you had at the fairgrounds, but it was different colors. I think it was like boy. It had something.
I don't know.
You have so much.
One of the pieces I had was the shape of a poem. I just thought that poets are maybe the only ones who recognize the beauty and the shape of their poems when they're printed on the page in a book. You might start halfway down and go off into the other page, and you lose track of what the poem was shaped like. But I think the poet was conscious of the shape of the poem. So I did some pieces that were just the shapes of poems. I'd write the poem down in pencil, and then draw around it to make the shape of it, and then erase the poem. There's the shape of the poem.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a poem called "Arms and the Boy."
That's the
by
one.
Wilfred Owen, and
I remember that one.
Owen was a World War I British officer, and he was a brilliant poet, but he was shot to death a week before the armistice, killed in action. My gosh. His poem, Arms and the Boy, refers to, I think, the first line in Virgil's Aeneid, where he says, "I sing about arms and the man." But he wanted to sing about arms and the boy, and he said, boys shouldn't have anything to do with guns and bullets. The blind, blunt bullet heads that love to nuzzle in the hearts of lads. I think that's one of the lines. In the poem.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was an anti-war poem. I did the shape of that poem.
Yeah. That was really good, and it was really appropriate for the venue as well, because we were doing the Art Against Violence exhibit, and then yeah, you were featured. When was this? It looks like March 4th.
Yeah, what a surprise it was to open the paper and see
your art, which we have right here.
Yeah, there's my painting there.
Yeah, you were on the front page of the record. Cory was on the front page of the record too. The one prior, the fellow that you were talking to out front. So I had 2 of you guys in here today.
Good for the Mercury.
Yeah.
Subscribe to the Mercury. Subscribe to your local radio station.
So what have you been up to lately? Looks like you've got other different projects. You're such a hands-on guy. Look at you. You've got the chairs and the...
Oh yeah, I built some...
Actually sat on one of those chairs.
And in the background you can see the rose room that I built this spring.
Yeah.
It'll have climbing roses all over it. Come and visit. It'll have climbing roses next spring all over it.
Got any future plans for exhibiting your stuff?
Well, in the kind of work that I do, it's kind of more conceptual than just sit down and paint.
Yeah.
And an awful lot of stuff where people just sit down and paint, I think, are demonstrations of technique. And not that there's anything wrong with that, but I need to have, for my own work, I need to have some kind of content. So it requires a lot of thought and rethinking. And so right now I'm working on learning this acrylic pour. And there's a particular painting that I'm aiming at that uses that, plus encaustic, plus brass rods that I incorporate in a lot of my pieces. There's a piece right now that this has a brass rod right through the middle of it. Yeah.
I like it. It kind of breaks up the whole picture.
So it takes quite a while. For me, it takes a while to get a piece that I want to do and that I think I can do, and I'll work on it until it's what I wanted to do. And sometimes they don't work, and sometimes they have to start over again.
Yeah.
So I can't really say, but that's just a...
well, we'll keep in touch with you.
All right.
And then we'll definitely, find out what you're up to. Well, I'll probably invite you back in a few months and see what you're up to again.
Well, that'll be very nice. It's nice to be here.
Thank you for stopping by today, and thank you for letting me check out your studio too. That was really nice to give me a tour of your place.
You betcha. Drop by again.
I will. Thank you, Mike. And we'll see everyone next week, next Wednesday again. All right, we're wrapping it up. Breaking Barriers, Jocelyn. Bye.